My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
All right, this is the entity that is stalking. I'm leaving the library, and the entity is stalking. They are what is following when I'm at the Stater Brothers, which is west in the city of Ontario. West of this location, they're doing the same thing over the parking lot, and that's how you are understanding what is gang stalking. And everybody in the grocery store is stalking in the same way that everybody that's in a relevant position right now is stalking with the military at 5:59 a.m. where there's no flights that's not coming from the airport. It's over the senior citizen complex, while the people of the state are maintaining that surveillance together. All right, this is P.O.C. That's the evidence prosecuting the entity that has stalked me all the way into the city of Upland. Okay, and this is that pattern of conduct. Wells Fargo is stalking activity. Wells Fargo is being federally prosecuted for the pattern of conduct that I'm documenting. I am capturing in evidence, and I will be prosecuting that entire business. It's not going to be based on their business hours. Outside of business hours, Wells Fargo is engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct, including by proven through the specific environment. This is P.O.C. It's 6 a.m. on and it is, of course, for the podcast viewers, June 27th, 2026, Saturday. P.O.C. 6:02 a.m. Wells Fargo was stalking while the people of the state are stalking in the path. This is what you'll see right here. Taking a picture of it. This is a male that's engaged in monitoring his license plate. This is documenting Wells Fargo as well. I'm prosecuting the corporate entity. License plate 7 Nancy Henry Zebra 137, and he's engaged in what is stalking with the entity that just flew over again in another plane, not even 60 seconds later. Using the Wells Fargo on camera, engaging in a transaction, that's a RICO case, and I'm prosecuting Wells Fargo with that. The people of the state are gang stalking. Wells Fargo is gang stalking. 7 George Victor Mary 711 is the entity that is on camera that's engaging in what is targeting me in concert with the government, the military that's flying over the Wells Fargo. That is Wells Fargo gang stalking as well. This is Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. (6:05 a.m.) That's entity stalking license at 6:05 a.m. as walking through the neighborhood at the Cedar Point Chiropractic Group at 235 North Laurel Avenue. This is the entity stalking through the neighborhood, leaving the library where they're engaging in what is maintaining the plane activity there, stalking as I'm traveling through the city, which is the people of the state in that city that are stalking and monitoring as I documented. License 8 Paul Charlie Bob 526 included. P.O.C. There are no flights that are scheduled by the Ontario International Airport and the airlines that include hovering throughout this area in the city, meaning that by virtue of hearing the evidence that I'm capturing on podcast, it's a prosecution of the airline industry and the military, the city that is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport and the U.S. military. Moreover, it's at this time and at the location at 235 North Euclid Avenue, the chiropractic office, where I've also documented the specific environment, the fake sun from morning into the evening, the people of the state stalking in that environment, monitoring in that environment, the pattern of conduct, in other words. And it is evidence that the city is gang stalking while the military is hovering throughout the city, because the military is not engaging in surveillance by themselves. They cannot engage in the surveillance system by itself, all right? You're talking about what would have been reported, what would have been a means of prosecution already. The people of the state are clearly complicit and clearly engaging in that pattern of conduct. And that's also proven. While I am at the intersection of my location, it's a prosecution of the people of the state. P.O.C. at 6:07 a.m. And that's a matter of judicial notice that I am documenting plane activity via podcast. That is the evidence that the military is stalking. The airline companies, who are the people of the state, are stalking in furtherance of murder by virtue of capturing that plane activity at the location where I'm at, outside of what's published regarding flights that are not going to cause any sort of activity creation in the neighborhood, like I'm capturing. This is 6:08 a.m. This is the same exact, by the way, audible activity over the library, where they've already conducted their plane activity takeoff noise. This is at what is C Street and at 6:08 a.m. This is at C Street and Palm. Capturing images of that. They're flying over where the Rock Church is located, approaching B Street, that alley. I'm at Vesta. And this is an entity that's engaging what is stalking through that neighborhood. So, license plate 6 Mary Yolanda Henry 462 at what is 6:08 a.m. And as you are paying attention, you're listening to and counting the number of planes That is plane number 3 as I'm walking through, and the entity is maintaining that flight activity over me. Yesterday morning, while I remained at the Ontario Town Square, and through that video that was 8 to 9 minutes long, the entity maintained plane activity and did so over and over and over and over and over and over again, as you are counting how many planes the military utilized with regard to gang stalking with Securitas, downtown Ontario luxury apartments, who were pacing in and out of that parking garage, that apartment complex, pacing at the C Street turn circle, monitoring with the military that flew over that senior citizen complex. I've left that location, and the entity is hovering throughout the city, which is what this is, while the entity has yet to conduct a takeoff. Certainly not only not from the airport, but not from the Ontario International Airport, that is maintaining commercial planes that are associated with the airport over the library, the city hall. So as I walk even west from that location, the entity is maintaining that same elevation, the same noise level. This is the public nuisance. The public nuisance, as I've shown you, the P.O.C, is the evidence of the government monitoring in concert with the people of the state. Okay, they're in that noisy environment, stalking in the path in its criminal presence. You don't have any protection when you're living in relevant position. Gang stalking, you will be prosecuted. Alrighty, it's 6:10 a.m. So you're paying attention to also all of this evidence. The entity is going to be federally prosecuted for mentally ill behavior while they are in their facilitating venues, and the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing via the sky space. Understand the people of the state that are inside of their venues, they're engaging in psychopathic pacing as well. Remember, the pacing is with regard to what is circulating around me, crossing path with me. That's occurring also while I am the one that's in motion, walking through the neighborhood. The demons are in planes over my head, flying over and over and over again. The people of the state are crossing path with me as I walk through that neighborhood. This is the same mentally ill pattern of conduct by the people of the state, the demons, the Nephilim, the non-humans that are stalking me through the neighborhood while the military tells on all of them. It is currently 6:11 a.m. This is the city that's going to be subject to martial law. (6:12 a.m.) Capturing the people of the state at Vista and C Street, where they are gang stalking, all right, by place of residence. License 9 Henry Queen Frank 826, license 6 Edward Indiana Larry 292, license 8 Sam Henry Bob 085, license 7 Robert Queen Charlie 924, license 5 Larry David Yolanda 886. And again, just with regard to location where I'm at, I'm documenting the entity, the gang stalking fake church, Rock of Faith at 325 East B Street. This is the location where I'm at, where the entity is stalking in the path. Capturing the fake sun over me in this location, 7 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is indeed the entity that is monitoring with the military, and this is the non-human neighborhood full of demons that are monitoring, and they're being prosecuted while they are gang stalking with the military that is exposing the co-defendants who are the people of the state. This is a neighborhood that's engaged in what is kidnapping with the military that is gang stalking me by commercial planes right now. This is a neighborhood that is being federally prosecuted and subject to martial law for not only kidnapping children, keeping them under surveillance, violating children as you're keeping them under surveillance. It's an inherently sexually violent crime. You are keeping children under surveillance after kidnapping them and sexually violating them, sex trafficking them, gang stalking them. This is an entity that's gang stalking in this neighborhood, and they're engaged in gang stalking children and seeking to murder them in order to conceal their crimes. This is why they are gang stalking me, an adult who is exposing this criminal system that the city of Ontario is engaging in with the U.S. military. And this is shared with those throughout the state of California, including celebrities that are keeping me under surveillance, politicians, business owners that are keeping me under surveillance as demons who are engaging in this system, while the demons in Ontario, the demons of the military, the demons that are owning these multi-million-dollar companies who are providing instrumentalities of interstate commerce, i.e. commercial airline planes that are used to monitor me in the city of Ontario. And they are, celebrities are, those who have invested money in gang stalking me are being federally prosecuted for it. This is how the entity is engaging in that surveillance system. And it's relevant to kidnapping, murdering, dismembering, consuming the body fluids of children that this entity, the city of Ontario that's gang stalking, is engaging in that system, P.O.C. It's 6:15 a.m. at 417 C Street. Again, these are the demons that are going to prison. They've engaged in systematic stalking. They do so with impunity, and they're doing so with impunity now, while the military provides evidence against you in court, because that's what this is. The government is providing evidence against you while you are stalking in the path where the government is stalking. You are stalking, as the pattern of conduct is already established, and it's not a matter of you saying anything about it. You're surrounded with that evidence, and the entity has also engaged in this conduct with the helicopter activity as well, and the specific environment is all evidence against the people of the state at 417 and 407 C Street, right, where the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. And I've already documented they're already subject to federal prison, gang stalking in this little mini apartment complex, right? That's why the military is gang stalking me in this neighborhood in the presence of the people of the state here, because the government is gang stalking me with them. 7 Paul Nancy Uncle 350 included. Okay. Just as one example, this is the P.O.C. and this is an entity that is being prosecuted as one that is engaged in what is a threat to children that are kidnapped and brought to California. And I'm prosecuting them while they're gang stalking me. Gang stalking is occurring where children are brought and kept under surveillance and sexually violated. That's why the city of Ontario is gang stalking, because this is the criminal system that they're engaging in. That's why the military is gang stalking me in Ontario with the people of the state in Ontario, California. That's what this system is about, and that's what they're exposing about themselves while they're stalking me with light, stalking under the fake sun, stalking on the roads and the highways. They're kidnappers, they're sex traffickers, they're child killers, they're demons that consume the bodily fluids, and they engage in gang stalking with those who pay to consume the bodily fluids of children. License plate 7 Sam Zebra Frank 533, stalking at the intersection where the entity is stalking with planes, and it's 6:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. at Vesta and Vine Avenue, where there are, as a matter of judicially noticed facts, no planes that are taking off, meaning that none of this is legitimate conduct of the airport. This is nothing normal, and it's also nothing that is lawful, and it's relevant to what is the criminal surveillance system in furtherance of murdering me, while the airport and the planes associated with that airport are deviating in the city, stalking, following me, and doing so with regard to that monitoring system at Vesta and Vine. And everybody living here in relevant position is being federally prosecuted. 6:17 a.m. another plane. P.O.C. 7 Charlie 52384 at 216 North Vine Avenue. The entity doing a U-turn over this housing community. I'm right here at Vine and Vesta. There are no planes that are doing any U-turns. You're also not headed to a destination when you're doing that. This is the entity that is stalking. And their partner is surrounding me with license plates and surrounding me with their addresses, and they're all being prosecuted at the same time. This is the city that's going to be subject to martial law. And martial law is absolutely necessary when you have a city full of people that is engaged in and interested in and serving a system of kidnapping children, trafficking them, having sex with them, killing them, and concealing that by even gang stalking, which is what the city of Ontario is doing now with the military. That's providing a large body of evidence against them, the fact that they are engaging in that, which is why the military is stalking me in Ontario in this manner, in this neighborhood, at this time, in this location where they are targeting with the people. 7X Frank David 156 included. This is P.O.C. It's 6:18 a.m. All right, license. Let me see, paper plate, stalking with the military on Bonita. Stalking in the path. It is license plate Edward David 93 Sam 40 at Ontario Plaza Apartments. This is a government license. 8 Jerry George Xavier 824 is also stalking. And this is Edward David 93 Sam 40, okay? The moment that they turn their vehicle lights on, the entity is stalking with the audible noise of a plane. That's the concerted conduct of demons that are monitoring, i.e. stalking together. And that's the military that's doing so over you'll see the image where I'm at, over the back portion of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. They're flying behind the Stater Brothers, in other words, not over the front of that parking lot, based on where I'm located, where the demons are stalking. 7 BIR 135. 9 Nancy Jerry 963. 7 Paul Victor Charlie 850. 33768 Jerry 4. 7 Apple, George Apple 494. And it's 6:22 a.m. License 7 Xavier, Sam Mary 690. License 8 Jerry, Indiana Edwards 761. And everybody inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center is engaged in gang stalking, including the employees of Dee Dee's Discounts while they're stalking in the parking lot, while they're driving into the parking lot, while they are getting out of their vehicles and going into Dee Dee's Discounts. Everything is serving activity creation with the military that just followed me to this location. Those are demons that are doing so with the corporate entity itself, the Ontario Village Shopping Center, Stater Brothers, Dee Dee's Discounts. These are the venues that are actually open. The entire shopping center is being prosecuted. The entire one. Alrighty, at what is, you just see, light activity inside of the village, and this is the plain activity. This is the concerted activity with the military and the people. Alright, this is a serial stalker right here. They're subject to prison. The red sedan, I'm going to document them right now by license plate. Very heavily documented stalking with the military. P.O.C. License 7 Nancy Bob Sam 3890. That's federal prison. He's stalking on a serial basis. He's going to federal prison. License plate. Stalking, pacing in the parking lot while you hear the military. Gang stalking, license ADL E93. That's a Colorado plate on a Chevrolet Silverado. Stalking with the demon that is crossing path while the military is in the sky space. That's concerted activity. Okay, this is the same Ontario Village where the fake sun is rising here, and I'm documenting in the evening after 5 p.m. The fake sun is also here in the evening. That's the entity that's keeping a fake sun over one address, over me at this address, for over 10 hours. That's the pattern of conduct where the military is stalking. License 7 Sam Zebra Frank 533, and that serial stalker is going to federal prison. I'm documenting him very heavily. I'm documenting that license plate. He's going to prison. U.S. Foods is gang stalking. U.S. Foods is a gang stalker engaging. This is a corporate actor. They're maintaining light activity in the parking lot. Gang stalking. They don't have any authority under the law to be on the roads and highways, number one, and also to be engaging in facilitation of the U.S. government's pattern of conduct in any way, including by utilizing the business, that's the commercial vehicle itself, as a means of light activity. It's the pattern of conduct in plain view. U.S. Foods is documented gang stalking on for over the term of years. It's an Indiana plate, 3831578, and literally the evidence of the military stalking me is serving U.S. Foods criminal activity, criminal facilitation. All right, it's a RICO case. This is P.O.C. This is the same plain activity I've been documenting the entire time. All right, he's monitoring. You see the employee. That's U.S. Foods that's stalking. Go ahead, video.
Alrighty, I did go into video right now, so that's what the pause is, but I'm going to keep recording. I have arrived from one place to another. This is the value of my podcast, which I've been maintaining for years. The evidence of an entity, what that means, the words literally that I use regarding stalking and monitoring, which is exceeding stalking, which is absolutely necessary, built into the crime of monitoring. And the government is doing so using commercial planes and those commercial airline companies being federally prosecuted for stalking for a criminal purpose, for the inhumane crime of monitoring, as I document that walking through the neighborhood. The video of the entity stalking me by plane at the library and at another place, which is the village, the entity stalking by plane, hovering and doing so while they are cooperatively targeting with the people of the state. And this is speaking to everybody in that grocery store that is going to prison. And it's more than just the Stater Brothers employees, but I serially go to Stater Brothers subject to this pattern of conduct. And this is speaking to what the consequences under the law. And Stater Brothers is being federally prosecuted. The corporation is being prosecuted criminally, and the corporation shall be prosecuted civilly to compensate me. But they will also be subject to what is mandated prison. Okay, the people of the state that are employed at this venue are going to prison. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 6:29 a.m. I am on surveillance cameras, and it is the evidence that the Stater Brothers is, everybody in here is stalking. That's Kia, who's gang stalking using the PA, monitoring me as I walk in. The military is stalking me in the parking lot. Everybody in line is engaged in that pattern of conduct. This is surveillance by a grocery store that's not actually a grocery store. It's the government's maintenance of a pattern of conduct. This is how the government is stalking you and keeping you under surveillance. And the government is doing that in furtherance of what is murdering children and concealing that that's what the government's engaged in. And ironically, the government has exposed everything that it's engaged in while stalking in the absurd and obvious manners that it has, as opposed to just stopping and leaving you to believe that I'm just making up everything that I'm claiming because I never have the opportunity to document the government stalking me. But that's not what we have. The government has proven to you with my evidence acting in conformity to the very allegations, and they're doing so relevant to what the government is engaging in, which is kidnapping children, sexually violating them, trafficking them, doing so with monies that are invested, utilized to do so, money of politicians, money of celebrities. Those are, while I'm in California, this is relevant to the celebrities that are in California that have targeted me with regard to trying to obstruct justice. And the more that the entity is gang stalking me, the more that you are aware of the purposes behind stalking anybody with this level of resources, this many people, this much money, this much time, this much energy, this obvious engagement in that. This is the entity that is very much engaged in everything that I have alleged. And I proved it literally while they are stalking in these manners. And the entity is doing so as I walk into Stater Brothers at 646 West Hall Boulevard at 6:31 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that is stalking at the library, maintaining the same elevation, while I am now inside of the shopping center, where the entity's been stalking the entire time as I've been documenting and by a podcast. This is criminal activity by U.S. Foods. U.S. Foods is not foreign or new to gang stalking. They are keeping me under surveillance, for example, inside of my hotel room in Hesperia with San Bernardino County that's engaged in policing in Hesperia and in Victorville. Gang stalking while the entity is stalking me by helicopter, maintaining surveillance. The fake sun over my hotel room in Hesperia, that's already under surveillance. That surveillance that I was under is already on the record. And this is at Holiday Inn in Hesperia. U.S. Foods is gang stalking in the parking lot. U.S. Foods is gang stalking on the roads and the highways. U.S. Foods is engaged in criminal facilitation right now by virtue of you seeing the military. Judicially noticed facts, there's no takeoff that's hovering over here. And that's the same elevation that they're maintaining east of this location at the library, where the entity just by podcast, as I documented, coming to another location. The military is stalking at the venue where I've also shown the fake sunrise, and the fake sun is still here 10 hours later, where the employees at Stater Brothers are going to prison. This is the African-American male in a different vehicle. He's going to prison. He already knows that. This is light activity as well. License 7 Henry Xavier Nancy 535. He's monitoring with the light activity. That's U.S. Foods criminal conduct. He's monitoring as an employee. Stater Brothers engaged in poisoning me. He's going to federal prison. He's literally engaged in the P.O.C. while the military just flew over the parking lot. And that has nothing to do with the flights of the airport. But I want to be clear. That's context, understanding how clearly the government is stalking in planes. Because were I even at the Ontario International Airport, the entity is keeping the fake sun. The Ontario police, for example, the people of the state are in the same specific environment, and you will be federally prosecuted. I have shown you how outside of what is even occurring criminally at an airport where the P.O.C. is underway, the entity is not, this doesn't even have anything to do with what it's supposed to appear as. Flights from the airport.
going to a destination. No, they're not. When they're engaging in U-turns over this parking lot, when they're hovering, when they're acting like the same plane right here that's hovering, and then you have Amazon Prime doing a sort of dip down like they're landing over the El Pollo Loco over this parking lot, where Southwest Airlines is doing the same thing over here at Habit, where U.S. Foods is stalking with light. When the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing by helicopter at this venue, U.S. Foods is already surrounded with a body of evidence before they came engaged in criminal facilitation, which is what this is. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct, and that's the prosecution of the corporate entity. And it's the prosecution of the airline industry. That is the evidence of an airline industry in furtherance of murder for purposes of kidnapping children. This is what U.S. Foods is engaged in, surveillance with the U.S. and illegitimate business. The Stater Brothers employees are all going to prison. As I document again, the entity is stalking. You know what they're doing inside of that store? They're following me around and stalking me in that store. And they're going to be put in federal prison for that. And I'm going to prosecute Stater Brothers, which is the people of the state, a corporate actor under the law. This is P.O.C. It's 6:28 a.m. and my podcast is evidence of the military stalking, the people of the state stalking me from place to place. P.O.C. Alrighty, you're looking at the same pattern. The entity flying in alignment with where I'm located. So they're doing their U-turn right where the door is. Yesterday morning, as I'm walking out, Ontario police were in the parking lot of Starbucks, and which is relevant positioning, and the entity flew hovering right over, flying in this direction west. This is the people of the state. I'm taking pictures of stalkers in the grocery store, okay? I'm walking back in and making another purchase, putting back the shop, but all of it is pacing. While the military is providing evidence against you and you're going to prison, you're going to be prosecuted, you don't have a defense. This is how the pattern of conduct operates. The entity is doing so with Stater Brothers, okay? The entity is maintaining psychopathic pacing Kia at register number 1. And the people of the state that you see are also demons that are psychopaths who know that they're being documented. And they just continue their pacing. License 8ZEY783 with the U.S. military. License plate with the U.S. military. Big boy sitting over here with all the chins. License 8WUH792 with the military. The commercial airline companies with the military, stalking at Stater Brothers with the military. This is the demon stalking, license 9FYY885 with the military. And this is also what they're doing while they're monitoring vagina on the opposite side of that brick wall. These are demons. These are non-humans. Gang stalking in furtherance of murder. Kidnapping children, trafficking them, murdering them, consuming them. This is the Nephilim. This is that system, and that's why I'm being gang stalked at the grocery store in Ontario, California, with the U.S. military. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:02 a.m. As you're paying attention to what I'm documenting on a day-to-day basis, this is the pattern of conduct. P.O.C. It is 8:02 a.m. at Stater Brothers. Alrighty, U.S. Airlines is doing in concert with the people, like hovering over where I'm at, what is D Street, San Antonio right now. This is the evidence that they are stalking in concert with the military that was stalking, flying in alignment to the entrance doors of the Stater Brothers. Okay, this is Parkview Village, condo apartments. 9 Paul, Indiana Zebra 870 is stalking where the military is targeting me in the sky space. That's stalking on the roads and the highways. When you're engaging in terrorism, the people of the state in California are not going to be on the roads and the highways. They're stalking at James R. Bryant Park. The entity, also the evidence of the specific environment is already captured on the record as well here. This is the World Southwest Airlines. Again, no takeoff. You still have not conducted a takeoff. I'm west of where the Old Family Community Library is. I'm in the city of Ontario. Southwest is gang stalking in Upland, California. Southwest Airlines is operating from Terminal 4 at the Ontario International Airport. Southwest Airlines does not have any flight timed to be taking off at what is 8:10 a.m., which is not going to result in being hovering in the sky space over this area. And also, this is evidence speaking to what I just documented at Stater Brothers. Kia's going to prison. All those customers in aisle 1 are gang stalking just like they are right here on the street in relevant position, where they are monitoring while the military are stalking in the path, tracking my steps, that is, knowing exactly where I'm located as I walk out of the doors, and they're engaging in a U-turn in alignment to me stalking in that parking lot. That's what Southwest Airlines is providing. Not only am I prosecuting you while you are gang stalking, they are providing evidence about what the demons are doing as I continuously progressively document the pattern of conduct. Understand the evidence as it's revealed in the aggregate, okay? Just like the fake sun that's over these demons at 8 in the morning, in the aggregate, you're going to look at when I documented last week at 6 p.m. at the same intersection. This is how you know what they were doing at 8 o'clock in the morning the week prior. This is how this evidence works. This is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. Southwest Airlines is going to be federally prosecuted, and it's not going to survive. And the apartment complexes where they're flying over the venue, you're being prosecuted. You don't have to come outside. Okay, I don't have to get your license plate. I do. 9 Nancy Zebra 133 to expose them specifically to the world. but I don't need it. I'm prosecuting the entire city. P.O.C. It is currently 8:11 a.m. All right, this is the evidence about the people of the state that are going to be committed. License plate 8 UCP 637, stalking. And this is how stalking is operating amongst the people of the state on the roads and the highways in California. These are demons. The Nephilim do not have car accidents in California. The Nephilims make up California Highway Patrol and the police departments. They commit what are targeted acts of murder, and that is combined with the fraud of the insurance agency, where they are sacrificing and making money off of it. All right, the entity that is stalking me is letting you know about that. That's relevant context. Southwest Airlines is stalking as I'm walking north. Farther away, Southwest Airlines is coming as I'm going. I'm at San Antonio and Grenada. There are no planes coming from the Ontario International Airport. Yeah, not only not hovering, but flying increasingly north. This is the entity of stalkers. 9XJZ622, stalking on the roads and the highways and further into murder. And they're also child traffickers. They're kidnappers. They're sex offenders. And they're engaging in that in concert with the celebrities keeping me under surveillance. Those that have engaged in what is compensating the people of the state to gang stalk me, to falsely accuse me, for the gang stalker police departments to kidnap me. And they're being federally prosecuted. This is Ontario police, because they're going to prison. People of the state, everybody in this document is going to prison. License plate 78JB355 and license 1697161. You see that reckless conduct of Ontario police switching lanes like that? They're monitoring. They're going to prison. That's the Ontario police stalking with the military. They're going to prison. That entire department is being disbanded. This is criminal activity. This is criminal. And this is mental illness. Those are demons in Ontario police vehicles. That's the Nephilim that are not engaged in law enforcement. They are being removed. Mike LORENZ is being publicly exposed and he's being removed from position. This is P.O.C. This is a threat to my life, and those demons engaged in kidnapping, they're all going to prison. All of them. And the city of Ontario International Airport is being shut down, and the airline industry, which is what is gang stalking via Southwest Airlines. That entire industry is being federally prosecuted through this evidence. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:23 a.m. while you see the system in operation. License plate 8KYZ543. This is the P.O.C. The entity is going to produce their identity. There's no speeding and dipping and diving out of it. They're going to produce their identity. Those demons are going to prison. And I'm right here at what is 664 West Grenada Court. That's the pattern of conduct. This is stalking, and they are stalking by place of residence. P.O.C. Metrolink is monitoring at what is 9:12 a.m. That's the city of Upland that is monitoring, and so are the people of the state. On the roads and the highways, with the same gang stalking airlines at the same location under the fake sun in the afternoon, Metrolink is engaging in it. Criminal facilitation is what this is. And I'm documenting the people of the state gang stalking with a multi-million-dollar company such as Metrolink. And Metrolink is actually a state actor. This is the P.O.C. Metrolink's engaged in terrorism with the U.S. military, and it's specifically targeting me and the use of that train line in Upland, California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:13 a.m. Just documenting psychopathic pacing, which is criminal facilitation. This is damages that Metrolink is responsible for. I'm going to prosecute this company. And this is just relevant positioning right here in my immediate presence. Metrolink is monitoring. Thousands of people right now are monitoring based on the criminal activity of Metrolink operating as a corrupt train line in Upland, California. And it's a crime and furtherance of murder. I'm going to prosecute the corporate actor. That's how the military is engaging the P.O.C. right now. This is 9:13 a.m. P.O.C. This is criminal summoning at the Upland Public Library, 9:28 a.m. Stalking on Arrow crossing path. Serial stalker who's going to prison. Stalking at the Veterans Monument in relevant position. Taking a picture of that. Joy, gang stalking as I walk to the Upland Public Library. She's going to prison as well. She's here monitoring. This is the entity that's engaged in what is mentally ill and criminal activity. The people of the state in Upland, California that are stalking by helicopter are engaging in the same criminal pattern of conduct. That's criminal summoning by the city of Upland. And that is 9:28 a.m. as I am creating my podcast. The entity, again, that is very much fearful of the evidence that is going on the internet, you engaged in just like this, it's going on the internet, but yet this is where you're also getting insight into the severe mental instability because you engage in it and it is documented. This is a part of your judgment. You are being federally prosecuted, and that is subject to worldwide exposure as well, humiliated as the Nephilim are also exposed, while a criminal system, an entire syndicate that is also outside of the United States. It's going to be documented. And in fact, you knew that it was going to be documented. You had reasonable bases to assume that I'm going to document like I have been since 2018, and yet you decided to do that. And then as I go about my documentation, which is protecting myself from you who would like to consume my bodily fluids and bury me in a river somewhere, this is an entity that's engaging in stalking me by helicopter for 10 minutes on video last night. This is an entity that is very much mentally deranged. They're not human. They're also far from sane. And that's because they are not humans. This is irrational, deranged, maniacal, psychopathic behavior. These are creatures. And these are creatures that are in positions of authority. And that's how you have the police and the fire departments and the sheriffs and the courthouses and the city halls and the politicians, those that are in office regarding the city halls, those that are on the bench, those that are officers of the court practicing law, those that are supposed to be engaged in law enforcement, the very military branches. That's how you have that. That's the Nephilim. And they're engaged in a system. In California, I'm exposing it. It's throughout the entire United States. And it's entirely satanic. That's what the Nephilim are, the demon possessed. This is the P.O.C. That's criminal summoning by the city of Upland that's monitoring on my device. The white male that is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is doing so, he is a coward. He likes to keep his head down while he's stalking. That is evidence also of what is actually what you're witnessing is obsession. This is someone who refuses to cease engaging in stalking you and will persist in stalking you by just putting their head down while they know that they're even being documented stalking. A sane person that is nonetheless engaging in what is obsessive behavior such as stalking will flee, will stop engaging in that once they are aware, oh man, I'm being documented, and they don't want that before a court. They don't want that in a court case. They don't want the consequences, not the demon possessed, not the creatures that are engaging in this. This is evidence of obsession, i.e. mental illness. While this white male, approximately in his 50s, late 50s to perhaps early 60s, is engaging in what is gang stalking, and you will see the evidence that I have of him. I maintain multiple methods of documenting him, so I wait until the coward lifts his head up, and that's how I was able to get his face. But this is a demon that's engaging what is keeping his head down. He'll sit right in front of me stalking me and keeps his head down. This is someone that's obsessively stalking, and that's the picture of obsession. That's how you are aware of what is actually wrong. And it's not someone that's minding their business. It's not someone that's ignorant that you're taking their picture. It's not somebody that's ignorant about your that's a demon that's obsessed, and I refuse to leave. I'm just going to keep my head down while you document. That's the entities. That's the pattern of conduct. Those are the demons that are monitoring. Joy's going to prison. She's inside of the library already. She's gang stalking as I arrive, and some random bum is pacing in front of me, and Joy just engages in what is talking to him, answering his question, which is how she's gang stalking in the library all day long. The demons pace in and out, and we can talk about anything. Literally, the lint on the floor, the book on the shelf, the absence of toilet paper in the bathroom. Joy is a gang stalking librarian. She's going to prison. She's very mentally ill. She's engaged in the pattern of conduct, and the government does not do anything other than provide a case to the prosecutor to put her away because she's going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:32 a.m. in Upland, California. Alright, it is currently 1:44 p.m. and it's still Saturday, June 27, 2026. So this is the entity's ongoing criminal pattern of conduct. The fake sun is over me in the library. So you have a stalker that comes and sits right next to me. That's a terrorizing threat. You have the stalker Joy,
who was the subject targeted with evidence today. So Joy is a demon. She's not a human. This is a demon. And under the law, she's a terrorist. She's gang stalking me at her place of employment at the Upland Public Library, where the fake sun is remaining over me, while Joy is also engaging in terrorizing me. She's exhibiting severe mental instability by pacing incessantly around me, and she has her co-defendant inside of the bathroom in order to join in monitoring my vagina. So this is the pattern of conduct, and it is after 1 o'clock, like I stated, 1:45 p.m., where the fake sun is remaining in Upland, California, which is distinct when I am at for example, the Ovid Family Community Library in Ontario, and I am reminding you about how psychotic the Nephilim that are utilizing Joy, who's a state actor, not a third party, because the Upland Public Library is the city of Upland. This is the public entity engaging in the criminal surveillance system on behalf of the military that goes out of its way to fully prosecute Joy by stalking me in planes and in helicopters and in jets. Joy's going to prison. But the ongoing evidence that is relevant to Joy's mental instability is what you are going to dissect, because Joy, I'm capturing the images of the fake sun over me, while you will see the evidence of Joy, who's in the engineer light. It's on the floor. The fake sun is over my head. The fake sun is just remaining over the building, all manner of being surrounded, and the significance of what you are doing in that environment. Merely being present is sufficient. It's surveillance. But Joy is deranged, and Joy is also triggered, because what I published today regarding May 12, 2026, Joy is targeted in the evidence. And as I also published in my evidence today, June 27, 2026, Joy is again targeted, and that's because Joy is heavily gang stalking me, and Joy has been doing so for years. Under all circumstances, Joy is going to prison. Okay, but she is triggered, and so this is a demon that is acting out, and while maintaining an outward calm and collected demeanor, while on the job, Joy is pacing from her office to the reference desk, back to her office, to the reference desk. She is stalking me, targeting me, and while she is stalking me, she's exhibiting mental instability. That's a threat. Okay, this is relevant to psychological torture, ominous stalking conspicuously in the environment, while you are also monitoring the evidence. That is, you're gang stalking somebody that you know is aware of it. That's also a threat that I'm going to prosecute you for, and it's relevant to how many years you're going to be in prison. And Joy in exhibiting mental instability is in need of, and the evidence dictates the type of incarceration, the type of confinement, and this is relevant to what is involuntary commitment. It is as psychopathic as the helicopter activity, flying in circles over and over me. This is what Joy is accomplishing by walking back and forth and back and forth, and she's doing so while the fake sun is over me. She does so while I'm in the bathroom and crossing path, stalking me, monitoring me, while the sex offender is in the bathroom stall inside of the bathroom, keeping my genitalia under surveillance, which Joy engages in with those over and under the age of majority as well. The Nephilim are violent sex offenders. They don't make distinctions amongst the genders as they engage in criminal activity of a sexually violent nature. They don't make any distinctions with regard to the propriety of children engaging in criminal activity. This is the government that's engaging in the contribution to the delinquency of minors. You have the nuclear family that are a bunch of demons that are gang stalking with the government. You have the gang stalking parents, if you will, that are in position of guardianship, maintaining custody, engaging in training, incentivizing, influencing not only criminal activity but mentally ill conduct. It's demonic activity, and it's also mentally ill behavior that is harming another person, and they do so as a society. This is very harmful to the youth, and this is what they are born into. This is what they are engaging in. You can it's evident while I am documenting the pattern of conduct underway inside of the Upland Public Library, where the entity is gang stalking via the voices of children who are pacing all around. Now, you need to know that these are demons, but you have what is a responsibility with regard to the government, because it's not the government's job to save anybody. All right. But with regard to the government has a legitimate interest in removing children from harmful and dangerous circumstances, and where the government the U.S. military is gang stalking via children, where the people of the state are gang stalking via children, where terrorists like Joy are engaging in the perpetual sex offense, the monitoring of a genitalia of another targeted individual with children. That is where the government maintains a absolutely legitimate and appropriate interest in assuring that children are not a part of that gang violence. Okay, so I just want to document that the fake sun is remaining over me at 1:49 p.m. over 450 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me, much like what I was discussing on May 12, 2026, where I am remaining at the 1627 TAD office. That is the Transitional Assistance Department, the San Bernardino County, another government building, another state facilitating venue where the criminal pattern of conduct is underway, and the son is engaging in an outright departure where Joy would never be pacing in sunlight. She is pacing. Okay, she is pacing. She is engaging in what is stalking me and doing so, and she does so in the face of a federal prosecutor who knows exactly what she's doing and is also aware of what she's cognizant of as she does it, which is relevant evidence pertaining to what is retaliatory conduct that's only hurting her and her co-defendants. And it's all state action. This is P.O.C. It's currently 1:50 p.m. The entity is engaging in the conduct of coming closer to me, coming and sitting next to me as I publish more and more videos. That's the demon that you see sitting next to me, fake sun over my head. These are the demons that engage in ongoing psychological torture and harassment, stalk with amplified noise, and more evidence that I publish. These are the demons that engage in what is stalking in all places, including in the bathroom, while they are surrounding you at every step of the way. This is the P.O.C. I just want to make sure I document that. You have Alan, Alyssa, and the other Alyssa, and Joy, which is ironic. It's so funny because she should actually be calling herself Misery. She's a very miserable actor, because this is actually a demon. This is the Nephilim, but she disguises herself with the name Joy. And you also have, I believe, if I did not already identify Alan is here gang stalking today on the job. This is just with reference to those that are engaging in relevant positioning. All of the employees of the Upland Public Library are subject to federal prison. All right, it is currently 1:51 p.m. The people of the state keep pouring in, engaging in pacing. That's what the mentally ill do. They pace under a fake sun. They are engaged in an incessant ritual. This is a mentally ill population, and they are engaging in criminal surveillance in that environment on behalf of the government that you also know is engaged in psychopathic behavior, i.e. the stalking in the planes and the helicopters over and over and over again, that which is exceeding what is the what would be the objective if it was just stalking. The government's doing more than stalking. The government's engaged in monitoring, which is psychopathic. For anyone to engage in it, psychopathic for a government system to exist amongst a population to engage in that, all right? And to be doing that where you work is the formula to be committed, okay? Where you cannot contain your impulses and you engage in more and more pacing behavior, doing that while a population is outside and they're all engaging in that pacing. That's all they're doing. It's not traffic, it's surveillance under the fake sun. And that's what they're doing. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 1:52 p.m. That is criminal summoning. Fake sun is right over my head. You'll see that at what is the current time at the same address, 450 North Euclid Avenue, Upland Public Library, 4:27 p.m. This is the P.O.C. The entity is monitoring on my device as I'm looking at all the sex offenders engaging in what is psychotic. Everybody's sitting in a library engaging in surveillance. And this is the military's surveillance system in the U.S., okay? Sitting in libraries, going into grocery stores, remaining at gas stations, in your home with you under the guise of being your family and having any notion of privacy and actually being interested in your well-being and your best interests, all in furtherance of the criminal pattern of conduct to commit murder. kidnapping children, trafficking them. And these are demons that are in positions to have access to sirens, those are fire trucks, police vehicles, and ambulances, and all they're doing is stalking. And that's the Nephilim that would be doing so while the fake sun is over me at the same building, the same Upland Public Library at 4:27 p.m. I did capture a serial stalker with the red shirt on. He is going to prison. He's still gang stalking on another day. And this is relevant with regard to sentencing every single last one that's engaging in the pattern of conduct and the detailed documentation about what they did. And they knew that it was documented as well. And what the purpose of what they're doing, it's not just to harass and stalk. They're monitoring in furtherance of murder. All right. So this is the P.O.C. This is criminal summoning at the same Upland Public Library, where the whole objective is fully exposed and the Nephilim are still stalking in front of the world. And the world is going to necessarily watch them be punished. P.O.C. It is 4:29 p.m. All right, 5:09 p.m. I'm going to document the state actors who are here. Gang stalkers who are here include, it looks as the Joy stepped out of her office for the day. She's still being documented, but I just want to document who's in the office. The entity has minors in the Brody room that are gang stalking with the military. The entity is gang stalking with Alyssa, and Carissa is here. There are two Alyssas that I do have in the PDF for Upland Public Library, capturing their images, their names, and all of those employees who are subject to prison. Adam Tuckerman, he's going to federal prison for this pattern of conduct that's ceaselessly underway as the director. The entity is stalking at 5:09 p.m. by helicopter, and they're doing so pursuant to the these homosexuals who are cowards and out of fear, and because they are mentally ill and fearful, they engage in incriminating conduct that gets everyone else, including themselves, in trouble. And so that's why this morning the entity is engaging in criminal summoning as I am putting together the podcast. This is why last night they are stalking and engaging in 10 minutes of documented helicopter activity. This is very expensive terrorism, not only timely with regard to being in prison and being committed, but also costly monetarily. The entity is going to compensate for the documented terrorism, and it's pursuant to federal stalking. The entity is engaging in this while you hear the people of the state stalking in the city of Upland that are going to be subject to martial law. They're being prosecuted for levying war, and they will be compensating the American citizen that they are stalking under the fake sun over the Upland Public Library. And they are also sex offenders, keeping my vagina under surveillance while sex offenders go into the bathrooms, monitoring with the demons that are amplifying audible activity, engaging in psychopathic pacing. That's what the entity was doing via helicopter at 5:09 p.m. And Alyssa's going to prison. Carissa's going to federal prison. Elizabeth is here. Alyssa is here. Alan is here. These are the employees that are here today, but all of the employees, all of which is going to be a matter of production in a tribunal. There's no mysteries here. They're all going to federal prison. I want to document the entity engaging in what is monitoring on my device while I am publishing the evidence of the pattern of conduct just like this at the public, the state facilitating venues where the pattern of conduct is underway by the public entity. That is the city library. Venues like the city hall. Venues such as the police stations, etc. While I am publishing this regarding the city of Rancho Cucamonga, the city of Fontana, the city of Chino, the city of Ontario, the entity is stalking by helicopter, and that is because the demons are very fearful. Okay, but that's neither here nor there for the American citizen that's being terrorized by a bunch of demons that are scared and who are psychotic. The mentally ill who are psychotic, who are scared, they commit murder when they're scared. Okay, they kill children and they dispose of their bodies and they consume their organs and drink their fluids when they are scared about getting caught. So it's not your concern, but I am giving relevant context. The entity is monitoring on my device and is engaging in the very foolish conduct, which is stalking with helicopter. While Alyssa is sitting in the reference desk area, she is going to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It's 5:14 p.m. at the Upland Public Library.